Okay, Roads to Gettysburg II. This is scenario 4, first day at Gettysburg. It's a one-turn game. Um, so Jeff and I, as you see our channels, he and I played a bunch of games solo together, trying to just learn the rules, playing both sides, doing that kind of thing. I played one game in person with a local guy here, Bruce, who's really into it. But I feel like I just kind of need to walk through the rules and understand. Now, I really need to understand is the different levels of. So you got, I think, exhausted when you flip your counter over. You're fatigued, which I get. That's pretty easy. Demoralized and disorganized. I just need to understand there's so many different levels. And in Vassal, it kind of does it all for you in really nice, sweet ways. And it's fantastic. And like even just setting this one up, I was still clipping counters here. But the cool thing is there's not really that many counters in the game, so that's kind of cool. Because it's so zoomed out, you don't have a whole lot, so that's nice. You'll get huge stacks potentially, maybe not in this scenario, but I just kind of need to see it played out slowly on thing. Now this would probably be better with another person that really knows the rules like Bruce, or even with Jeff. But I probably will hop on with Jeff here, at some point in stream, and we'll talk through stuff. But so it's Gettysburg, obviously July 1st. It's a very simple scenario. One day. So if you don't know that, one day, each turn is a day in great campaigns of the American Civil War. That's what we're playing. Road to Gettysburg, Lee Strikes North. The paintings are amazing. I mean, look at this book. It's crazy. But this is the first day at Gettysburg. It's one turn, July 1st, 1863. So you can activate units. Now, I'm going to get this maybe a little wrong. Up to 4 times, typically. During that activation, you can do move. You can do move in combat. You can just do a combat called an assault or a grand assault or something. It's an assault. I think you can rally as well. I'm not sure of that, but basically it's a maneuver game, really. So that's one day. So it's just a one-day battle. So I'm not going to have to worry about. I'm going to push everyone to high fatigue. Just do it all, right? Because that's what you do in these one-day scenarios. You're just pushing everybody to the limit, except for you don't want to lose. I'll talk about that in a minute. So the scenario simulates the meeting engagement that took place just northwest of the town of Gettysburg. This here is Gettysburg, so kind of simulating. It says northwest, but here's all the control stuff, so that's kind of interesting. On July 1st, 1863. So we're not at the 80th, they're at the 81st. No, not 80th. I was thinking of World War II. So we're not exactly on the anniversary, an even anniversary date, but we're still on the anniversary when I'm playing the video. Between advanced elements of the Army of the Potomac and Army of Northern Virginia. Use both north and south maps, one turn. Basically, the only special. The cool thing about this one, so in the one that Jeff and I have been playing all green alike, man, there's a lot of special rules, and all the scenarios have a ton of special rules. This does not, and it's fantastic. So I chose a good one. I'm glad this has this. There's a bunch of different. The victory points are always quite long and involved in these games. Let's zoom in here. I got a new tripod, not this one, but I'm using it for a scope I have. I can't wait to use it on the board here. But so basically, the Confederates, they get 5 points if the Confederates control Gettysburg, which basically means get in there. And Evergreen Cemetery and Culp's Hill, which I might have that reversed, that's what these M's are just marking. If they are unoccupied by a Union, they don't have to control them, they're just unoccupied. If they do all that, they get 5 points. Now, they get an additional 2 points if 2 of these 3 markers are not, if Confederate units occupy 2 of the 3 of the hexes, Peach Orchard, Round Top, and the Parsonage, or at the Parsonage. So now they do have to occupy these. So basically you can see them, they occupy that, and then they're sitting here and defending these, and no one's near the town. And that's what's great about these. Like, just me talking through it right now, I've kind of talked through this before I did the video to kind of get through what I was going to talk about. And just now I even, all their victory conditions always make strategic sense or tactical sense. Like, they want to control this. These guys will probably be gone or pushed away if they get in there anyway. And they're blocking out, like, no one's occupying here, and they're occupying this. So they're kind of starting to set up a defense around all these guys that are coming in. So it's really cool. And then there's some ones where they get less points if they have some of these factors, like they're here, but that doesn't meet it, or they, I don't know. I'm not going to get all that detail. But the other way is, basically, it's the Confederates' job to earn victory points here. So the Union's not really earning them. They're just trying to keep the Confederates from earning points. So, like, for example, if the Union occupies this, if they occupy Gettysburg, oh, that's interesting. They get -2 points. For each point of Union manpower lost for any reason. The way Jeff's and our games plays, they only get those points if they're lost by combat, basically. Well, here, if you do a forced march, or you're made to do, I think forced marches, that's not the term. Anyway, as you're marching, you can lose people. If that happens, and that doesn't happen much. So if you fatigue 2, you start rolling for it. I believe that's right. So you can start losing people pretty quick. So +1 for each point of Union manpower lost for that reason, -1 for each Confederate. So the Confederates have really got to be careful. I don't have a real big plan here. I mean, the manpower of the Confederates is significantly more than what the Union has, and per stack. So there's, here, 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 and here, and then all these guys. But these are all mostly single digits. Some are even, a couple are even fatigued. But these guys are exhausted. A couple of these guys are. So we have Hill, Ewell, and we have Buford, Reynolds, Howard, Sickles, Slocum. So that's that. I mean, the biggest thing I can think of right now, the Union is probably going to send these cav guys out here to kind of block them out, slow them down. And obviously these guys will try to come around here and occupy these things. The initiative rolls, they're not determined. They don't say, like, Confederates get the first one. No, they don't. But the Confederates do win ties. So they usually get initiative a lot, at least so far as I can tell, in the few games that Jeff and I played. So I'm going to roll the first initiative. Red's Union? No. We'll do red is Confederate. I need to get blue and gray dice. Red is Confederate. Oh, well, there you go. The Union won that. So they're going to move first. So I will pick a leader or a unit and activate them. And then I'll roll initiative again, and we'll just go back and forth. I'll come back. I may come back after a few turns, or maybe I'll just come back at the end of it and see what happens. We'll see how I'm feeling as I'm going. So, all right, that's the game. That's that's not the game. That's the start of the game. We'll see it. And that is game over for Great Campaigns of the American Civil War, Scenario 4, Roads to Gettysburg. This is the Scenario 4, First Day at Gettysburg. Well, that was interesting. And they say it's a very dicey scenario. It's one day. For example, Ewell, that's the very first thing he did. Rolled 2 moves, got into Gettysburg with 3 fatigue. So he's just been kind of sitting there waiting around. I did not use the optional entrenched rule. Didn't really realize it until halfway through. And so that you have to use that optional rule for them to entrench in 1863. But otherwise, they would have been able to do it immediately. So that would have been interesting. I don't know when you'd make it optional or not. I probably wouldn't make it in this one anyway because it's too short and you want to give both sides a chance. And boy, so they had 2 moves where Ewell got in here and Early got, I think, here, but then moved into there to get one of the victory hexes to get the 5. And then Hill moved all of his gang and someone else who's underneath there moved up and, kind of fought their way in. The cavalry did 0. They're kind of up here. Sorry. They did 0. They were able to, because again, dicey moves. When I rolled 6s, I think, on both commands on 2 or 3 of the commands for the Confederates. And then you add 1 or 2 to that. I think it's 1. 7. So you move 7. They were able to just move around, and I was able to do that over on this side too. So they didn't even have to mess with the cavalry. I mean, they did, I guess technically, but they didn't have to worry about losing points. They just moved around them. Again, the combats are pretty brutal in here because these Confederates have a lot of it's not steps, manpower. And I had 2 instances where people were routed, Doubleday and Reynolds, and they were pushed out. They had to go 4 to 6 hexes, disorganized, all that business. Forced march a couple times with the Confederates, disorganized, and then on that side, I rolled a 2, -1. Then they got 1. So I disorganized for 1 extra movement. Hey, but it's the dice. So that was pretty cool having having the more combat factors. That's pretty cool. I don't know how you handle it when you start stacking up guys in here, because this is just 2 units in here, and you got their fatigue and their thing. It's pretty wild what you do with that. I know when you get big, you have these force morale or force. Oh gosh, what do you call them? Force charts or whatever, and you mark them. And you can do that and see what's in there. So that's cool that you can do that. So that's cool. Yeah, kind of dicey. I mean, like if the Union had got 2 or 3 rolls to start, they would have they would have rushed into Gettysburg and surrounded and got the things. There was a little bit of battling. Some guys were pushed back out of these. So remember they had to have Gettysburg for 1 point, both these for 5 points, and then 2 of the 3, Culp's Hill, the Parsonage, Peach Orchard, maybe, I don't know. All 3 of those for a total of 7 points. And then any manpower factors against the Confederates were -1 each one, and then +1 for the Union. So the Union ended up losing 6 steps, or 6 manpower losses, and the rebels lost 2. A couple of those might have been by force march, because in this one you lose it for everything. So it's pretty wild. So it's 6 to 2, so that's another +4, plus the 5 they got here, so that was a 9. But that's a marginal victory for the Union, or for the Confederates, and so that's that. It was fun. I gotta tell you, man, I feel silly. Oh man, I didn't even move these guys up here. So Johnson's way the heck up here. I didn't even move him. Goodness gracious. I don't know what, I mean, he would have been by himself at that point because everyone else was fatigued 4. So anyway, I say it every time I'm playing this system. I feel like I'm definitely a broken record. I have nothing new to say about it. This system is just so much fun. I really enjoy playing it. It's very fun solo. I don't know how I would do playing against somebody. I think I might get, I could get potentially very frustrated. But I got to just take that attitude like I do when I'm soloing. It's like, hey, man, just try to make try to do a good plan, try to play the game, don't, I learned this watching Patrick, don't attack too soon. So I was kind of holding off. I wasn't attacking immediately. Unnecessarily stuff. I was kind of waiting to build up the right forces, and I felt like I did that a couple times. It's just so much fun. Just you roll and you get 1 for forced march, so you're disorganized for pretty much nothing. You get 7 on marches. The Union gets something terrible on a roll, and like these guys here, they moved up here because they were they had nothing. So they started moving up here and like, well, maybe we can eliminate a point or 2, and maybe we can get those Confederates down, so that they maybe could fall below the 7, but that would have been 3 step losses. But you never know. So I'm like, okay, let's just go. I don't even know if you can lose 3 step losses, but I mean, I'm sure you can at a big battle, but these guys were going to be so close. Anyway, I did it. I did the assault. So I did it, and then they actually ended up losing 2 steps, so it made it worse. But then I was like, oh, I didn't roll to see how many units can participate in the assault. So I rolled that, and I got a 6, which means it terminates. So the good news is they didn't lose the 2 steps. The bad news is they didn't get to do the assault. So it's the Civil War, man. People aren't. It's just, it's the Civil War. So that was cool. It was a lot of setup for that, but that's cool. It started getting me to clip the counters. I got to figure out how I'm going to organize this. I need to organize my organization markers so they're easier to get. It's hard to dig around. I don't divide them up into I think it goes 1 to 16, so maybe divide them into maybe 4 or 5 even. Probably 4 trays. Like 1 through 4, 1 through 3, whatever the numbers is. Because it took too long to dig through all this mess of counters here. So I got to figure that out. Man, what a great system. I think a campaign would be pretty cool to see. Big picture, you got to really kind of think it through, and, fatiguing. One thing I want to do, actually, I'm going to do here, and I'm going to actually pretend it goes another day so I can really read and understand what happens at the end of a day with the disorganized, and of course everyone's fatigue 4. No, I got a couple people fatigue 3, but I guess like this guy's fatigue 1. So that'll show me what happens there. But anyway, so I am going to do that, but I didn't want to do that before I shot a video. So anyway, that's that. I love it. Long video, just tell you how much I love this system. And that's that. Hey, if you got great campaigns, pull it out. Reading the rules alone, there's a lot there. It's very wordy, but I'm not saying it's bad. It's just kind of the way it's written. It's very wordy, like a Civil War history or something. But and there's lots of little things to do and know. And I'm sure I'm not doing everything, but it's so much fun. Give it a shot. Play this one-day scenario. See what you can do. Now, what you would do is if you played someone else, you'd probably be able to crank this out pretty quick. And I did okay. I did time-wise. I did all right. I had to split up over 2 nights just because I had stuff to do the night before. But you could easily then just flip it over and try it again and basically try to, equal out the points or get more points than your opponent did or something. So, all right, that's that. And we'll talk to you. See you.